We begin this morning with a panel discussion titled Challenges for Entrepreneurs in 2020. Please join me in welcoming our panelists on stage. To begin with, I would like to welcome our first panelist, Mr. Subho Samanta, founder, Dirac Business Solutions. Mr. Samanta is a founding member of Dirac Business Solutions, an IT services company. He has close to 30 years of experience in the IT industry and has held several senior positions. He was the president of Global Delivery and Emerging Markets at Atos, managing their delivery centers across India, Thailand, Europe, Africa, and Americas. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Subho Samanta. I do understand it's the first session of the morning, but we could be a little louder for all our panelists as they come up on the stage. May I now request you to join me in welcoming on stage our next panelist, Mr. Ranodeep Saha, co-founder, Rare Planet Handicrafts. Started as a student entrepreneur in 2015 while was in the second year of engineering. Used to hand paint on terracotta kulhars and sell them at school fest. From there to starting up small kiosks in different bookstores in 2016 to streamlining the whole range of products, they grew to 1,500 artisan plus families. Yes, the young man, Ranodeep Saha, is with us on stage. Our next panelist, Mr. Varun Biyani, co-founder and CTO, SuperProcure.com, co-founder and CTO, Truckhall.com. Mr. Biyani, an entrepreneur with a BTech from MS Ramaya Institute of Technologies and a master degree from Carnegie Mellon University. He has worked in tech space for over 11 years with companies like IBM, Flying Courier Services, Fast Technology, and has a strong logistics background with working as a consultant for UPS. Welcome, Mr. Varun Biyani. Our next panelist, please put your hands together to welcome on stage, Ms. Manjir Chatterjee, co-founder and CEO for India. Manjir always felt suffocated in traditional systems of education, or any form of pedagogy for that matter. Hers is an approach that breaks down watertight compartments of knowledge and makes them flow into each other. It's an interdisciplinary method. That's how she would weave 4 of her passions: generating livelihood through skill building, traditional Indian crafts, design and manufacturing into one harmonious enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Manjir Chatterjee. I would also like to welcome on stage our next panelist, Mr. Navin Ladha, CEO and founder of Rance Lab. A food connoisseur by passion, he has over 15 years of experience in various IT-related products, services, and solutions, specializing in retail and F&B businesses. His efforts in delivering IT solutions have reaped consistent growth in sales and profits of a large number of retail stores, restaurants, and food courts. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Navin Ladha. And now, please join me in welcoming our chairperson and moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. Kalyan, co-founder and director, inQube InnoVentures. Mr. Kalyan is the co-founder and director of inQube InnoVentures, which incubates innovative, inclusive initiatives. Kalyan firmly believes that innovative and effective utilization of technology can lead to equitable, inclusive, and sustainable growth for the society at large. Currently, Kalyan is involved in incubating several startups in the areas of technology, education, healthcare, BPM, skill development, data and analytics, and agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, our chairperson and moderator, Mr. Kalyan Kar. Sir, I now hand the session over to you.
Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to all of you on a chilly Saturday morning. I do understand it's a Saturday after all, and all of you have to rush in for this session, so I'm grateful that all of you could make yourself here. It's going to be a very interesting session because I have a very, very interesting panelists. And I'll just quickly talk about them and let you know who they are. So on my extreme left, I have Mr. Navin. He's a product entrepreneur running a product company, which is a rare sign in India. He's doing that successfully across 40 countries. And we'll hear more about his challenges of entrepreneurs in the coming years. Then my immediate left, I have Subho. Subho is an extremely successful professional, like it was announced a little while back. He's turned up entrepreneur, and obviously in that journey, he has his own challenges, which he'll be sharing with us. On my extreme right, I have Varun, a young entrepreneur running a logistics company, which is so important in today's e-commerce world. And someone told me that the largest employment generator will be the logistics company. So I'd like to hear from Varun, his challenges, what he's facing. Then I have the only lady entrepreneur on the panel, and she's doing a fantastic job, Manjir. I know a lot about her. I've seen the factory that she runs, the fantastic job she does, and she will be talking about social entrepreneurship and the challenges. And on my immediate right, I have Ranodeep, strategically posted behind an obsolete guy. He's been done, the Gen Z guy, and he's a computer professional, turned an entrepreneur whose business is into handicrafts. So a very unique transition, and I would love to hear from him. Just to set the mood right, and in the last 2 days we have heard so much about the VUCA, that it prompts me to share a small story so that you understand the plight of an entrepreneur. This is a businessman, and he was undergoing a lot of difficulties in life. Things were not happening the way he was planning, and everything was slowing down. So he was very frustrated, and he went to an astrologer. That's where you turn to when you're in problem. He went to him and he said that nothing's happening, so can you just let me know what my fate says in the days to come? So the astrologer looked at his hand and said, you know what? Your problem is just 6 more months. He was excited. He said, 6 more months and it gets solved? The astrologer said, no. Thereafter you get used to it. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. Those 6 months, carries on and on, and they get used to it. So in a VUCA world, in fact, we are talking about VUCA now, but they have all been in this VUCA for the last, goddamn years that they have started their operations. There is vulnerability and volatility always. There is uncertainty. An entrepreneur's life starts with uncertainty. There's always complexity. I don't hear any one of them having been able to solve the complexity. It's always there. And there's always ambiguity. What you are doing, how you should do, what you should be doing tomorrow, you keep asking yourself. And the buck stops at their desk. If you have seen the movie The Great Dictator, and if you could think of that scene where Charlie Chaplin lined up with a number of soldiers, there was one cannonball which didn't burst. It didn't blast out, it was lying there. So they were supposed to get rid of that cannonball from that place. In case it bursts and damages people. So the first guy picked up the ball and passed on to the next person. So his job was done. The next guy handed out the ball to the third guy. His job was done. Like this, finally it came to Charlie. Charlie took the ball and looked around and found nobody, because he was the last guy in the rank. So he had to run with the ball and throw it somewhere else. That's an entrepreneur who doesn't have anyone to pass the buck on. It is on him. Let's talk about the world that we are in today. A very, very interesting world. And I've got some data which I'll share with you so that you will understand how things are changing so fast. Yesterday we had a session with Rick Vera, and he passed a very important statement. He said, from mass productization, which has happened in the industrialization so many years, we are now going towards mass personalization. So the clients are now becoming more demanding, and they are all becoming personalized. You have to take care of them in a personalized way, and that's a challenge. And then he says, every challenge is an opportunity for an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs they are always in the relentless pursuit of opportunities, and every challenge is always an opportunity for them. Some data where you'll understand how the world is changing so fast. TikTok had 50 people 2 years back. 2 years back, they had 50 people. Today, they have 50,000 people. Look at the way they scaled up. Look at the way things change so fast. One more data, Alibaba. I was surprised to hear Alibaba is recruiting people on a 3-month span because they don't know what will happen to that job and that profile 3 months later. So either post 3 months, that guy fits into something else or he goes. That's it. Boom, it's over. That's the pace of change that's happening. One more data. Facebook, they were trying a poker game. And there were 1 trillion combinations of that game. So their fastest computer took 20 minutes to do the entire calculation of 1 trillion moves in that poker game. With quantum computing coming in, imagine the pace is going to change. That 20-minute of computation is going to become 0.00056 seconds. You heard me right. 0.00056 seconds. That's the pace of the change of technology. That's how our lives are changing so fast. That's how things are going to become real time. And in that scenario, I have 5 entrepreneurs who are looking at those challenges, adapting themselves, and changing themselves the way they should be. And last statement. MIT has done a research recently, and they are saying that with every 15% change in the online habit, 50% of retail shops will close down. A 15% triggering to an impact of 50%. But the good news is, the balance 50% will stay, needs to stay, and will survive and flourish. Why? Because those 50% brick and mortar is going to create experiences, is going to create convenience, is going to create a story for the consumer. So, it's not going to get wiped off, it's going to get realigned, it's going to get changed, and brick and mortar and digital, or we call it phygital, will survive, especially in a country like ours, which is very complex. In this context, let me first come to Subho. And Subho, I'd love to know, you have headed a very large company, and a lot of good things that we see around us. The employment generated by you was phenomenal. Bengal would always be indebted to you for what you have done. But now in your journey of entrepreneurship, how are things happening? How are you weathering the storm?
Thanks, Kalyan. I've been very fortunate. I worked with TCS first, then with Cognizant, and finally with Atos. And along my journey, I was fortunate to see the growth of the Indian IT industry. And in this journey, I realized that the challenges I was facing, the kind of challenges I was facing was also changing over a period of time. When I started, it was mostly about proving the credibility of the Indian IT firms. Back in 1990, I remember when I went to the US, I was checking out from a store, and the girl asks me, "Sir, where are you from?" So I say, "I'm from India." "Oh, India. So do you have cars there? Do you travel on horseback, on elephant back?" That was the kind of awareness about India. So, and at that point, where we were trying to prove that we don't travel on horseback and camelback, we were actually delivering IT projects. But, at that point, building a differentiator was easy. Price. You save if you do it with us. And it was a very compelling situation. But today, price points are not considered the biggest point, actually.
It's not the primary decision-making reason.
Exactly. It's not the primary decision making point. And you have to have other points which you have to use to differentiate yourself. And that's the biggest challenge for services. I'm talking from an IT services company because that's what I'm doing right now. But for an IT services company, there are hundreds of competitors doing the same thing.
Okay.
So bringing out the differentiator is the biggest
Okay,
challenge.
so how are you different from the others?
Correct, correct. Because otherwise you don't win projects,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Otherwise you don't survive.
Right.
And that's the biggest
Challenge that you're facing.
challenge
Okay.
that you face.
And how are you combating that, or in days to come? How you think you're going to manage?
One of the biggest things is you have to be very aware of the market challenges that a company faces.
Okay.
Earlier, there were so many challenges the companies were facing, and there were very few companies addressing those challenges. So it was, you pick up one and just address that. Today, you have to go deep dive and find GDPR, CCPA. You have to go understand what these challenges are, define and create solutions so that when a customer talks to you, he knows, yes, you can really help him. And then he'll come to you. And price is not at all a problem.
That's not the only reason. So you have to be very aware of the changing parts around you and position yourself accordingly.
Correct.
Great point.
So today you are doing something, tomorrow you have to do something else. So you have to be very
agile.
You have to change yourself on a regular basis so that you can pick up the problems, create a solution and go address it to the customers.
Fantastic. That's a very important statement Subho made about agility. I was asking this question to a few very senior people from very large entities, and I asked them that, how much threatened do you feel with the startups which just come out yesterday? They said the biggest threatening point from the startups is they are very agile. So if they tend to change their business model tomorrow, they can do it like this, which I can't. Because for me, it's a huge entity, set processes. I'm answerable to my investors, to my shareholders, to my hundreds and thousands of people. So I can't really put the brake. The ship will stop 10 months from today. So startups today have a unique opportunity of being very agile, move with the market and change themselves. I think, Subho, that's a very important point that you made. Thank you. Navin, okay, so now you have your business. First of all, congratulations for being a product company. I rarely see that in this country. That too from Kolkata, by the way. And you are now doing business across 40 countries, 2,000 odd customers. Are you saying customer behavior changing? Are they becoming more demanding? And at the same time, are you seeing technologies in days to come impacting your business?
Actually, yes, because the consumer, who is customer to my customer, is changing rapidly, right? If you look at the consumer today, they are basically, they want everything instant, everything they need more. Like service, they need more service. Let's talk about a retail, customer, the consumer who goes to a retail store. He wants the price, to be less. He need more service, more points, more, like attention, everything. So, and for the restaurant, let's say if you want to go to a restaurant, you want more personalized service, you want to, you want them to know your like preferences and everything. So these are the challenges my customers are facing. So they want us to come up with a, some technology solution. And right now what we are facing is, suppose, some small startup comes in. They say, okay, I'll solve this part of your problem. So, so they come up with some idea, some app, some, some process, something. So that will solve that particular, problem, part of the entire problem. What we are addressing is the entire process of the, one business. So it's basically a module. It's a building block. So there are many blocks are available. Right now, what we are facing is we need to, connect all the blocks so that, because one company cannot go into all the innovation, all the things. So basically, suppose somebody is doing some innovation. So our challenge is to, how to incorporate that thing into our entire, process. The same challenge any business will face. Suppose you are using a system. Let's say you are using a ERP software and you want to do some logistic company is doing something, some innovation. Let's say with QR code, they can, track the entire thing. You might not be able to incorporate this process into your software. So what you have to do is you have to look for somebody else who is doing this and take this as a building block. Okay. But till now, like what we are, what we have done is we tried to make the entire, building, the entire solution ourselves. But now we have to, move forward and use the building blocks. Like somebody is using AI, they have done some, for consumer behavior, they have done some machine learning thing or some, so that we have to incorporate.
So which means that there's a continuous innovation process going on. You are continuously changing as per your customer demand. So you have to keep investing or looking at partners to
Partners too, yes. Because,
Okay.
our consultant, they come, the strategy, consultant, they come and they say, innovate, innovate. But if you ask an entrepreneur of our level, so every day we listen to this, go innovate, innovate, every day. How? So we have
So you
found
just
that
can't prepare a product and relax for the rest of your life.
it cannot happen.
Those days are gone.
For example, like I started, when I started my career, I started with like hardware. So that hardware, I mean computer hardware. So that time it was an opportunity because everybody is buying assembled computers. Assembled computer was much cheaper than the branded computers. So people used to buy. So I started business, we took to a next level. Like when I've sold that business, I had 3,500 AMCs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
But slowly I've seen like margins are going, all the companies like Dell and, everybody is coming into Indian market.
Right.
They are starting up their stores. So we said, okay, there is no future. So that time we thought, okay, what to do next? So system integration, like people are looking for solutions. So people have to keep on changing,
I get it.
So now after, because then we build the software, then because why we choose, software, we thought, okay, this is the thing with which we can go global. So that was the motivation. But now the motivation is like, to, incorporate all the things without, expanding your entire infrastructure.
So it's more of a collaboration
Collaboration, yes.
Now, are the customers willing to pay a delta price for customization?
Yes, but see what happened. Every business is different, right? So if somebody wants to, if the business is very much sure like about that process, they want to invest into this.
So if they see an immediate ROI, I think that's what. Okay.
Immediate ROI. But nowadays, most of the businesses, they are not sure about, what is going to happen with them.
The VUCA world.
Yeah, the VUCA world.
So they want more for less.
More for less, so a standardized product, somebody has already done it, so they want to just use it.
Great.
Low hanging fruit, basically.
Great. So that's a challenge that you're facing. Now, are you facing any threat from the evolving technologies? Does it look like that tomorrow, if I don't change my technology or my architecture, I can be,
I'll tell you, yes. Every day I wake up, every day I sleep, so we have to, keep on changing. It's like if you are into technology, it's like doctor's business. Every day you have to read, with the new things.
I heard the same statement from Shah Rukh Khan in an interview. He said, every day when I wake up, I keep thinking whether I'm still relevant, whether my popularity is still there. So Navin, Shah Rukh Khan and you have the similar thinking. Okay. Manjir, I think it's time that I come to you because I know you have some interesting things to share with us. You run a social enterprise. What do you mean by that?
Well, social enterprise because as I was telling you, I hate the word charity, and I don't like to sympathize. Like I don't like the word sympathy as well. So the way we train people and then they work in the company and the kind of corporates and corporate tie-ups and the contracts we have, it's a very state-of-art kind of work they do. So rather, we doing them a favor, I guess they are, adding lot more value to the company. And but the kind of what shall I say, like status, like they come from, background they come from. As you know, there are many physically challenged and many disadvantageous background they come from.
You employ people who are physically challenged.
Like we skill train and then we employ. But I don't think doing that we are doing them a favor, as I said. They add much more value. But coming to today's topic, as I was discussing and listening to Navin and Mr. Samanta, innovation, be it customer centric. You cannot do it alone. So I do think our biggest challenge is the human resource. Like not, especially who are doing some value addition like design, technology, and that kind of people, because of the technology is impacting our lives so much, and people are so less attentive nowadays.
A distracted generation.
And we always have distraction all the time. We check, even there is no beep or no light in a mobile, we still check the mobile. And I guess this is a disease. It called something called phantom disease or something.
Okay.
It got a name actually, like that. And so they would, like, as I was discussing with you, that they would come to me for discussion, they would take down notes, go back to their office, their room, and then put on their mobile, this headphone or earplug, and then forget about everything that I have discussed with. So, and we sometimes think that if you hire from very good colleges like IITs and NIDs, and some people we have who studied in Singapore, they're working, but all are same. So I really don't know how to tackle this. And I would really see why Alibaba is hiring people on 3 months contract. So beyond 3 months, it might be really, really difficult to, take them on.
Interesting.
Yes.
See, I belong to the generation where we saw 5-day test matches, then we saw one days, then we are seeing the 2020, and people are saying 2020 is too long. We are heading for a 10-10. So that's the generation. And why TikTok is so popular? 15 seconds and the video is over. So we are happy about it. So in that era, in that generation, I know Ranodeep is smiling because he belongs to that, and I'll come to him for that. But I think it's a genuine challenge that you're facing, right?
Yeah.
So how are you combating that? How are you managing?
Well, so we keep on interacting with them. We try and watch some movies together, and have a very personal connect with that person, and make them understand what we want to do going ahead, and giving them the sense of purpose, because at the same time, as I was saying, they're very less attentive. But these generation really thrive on doing some good work. They live for purpose. Like they value having purpose in their life a lot. So if see, we would have to bridge the gap anyway. So we keep on discussing things with them. We try and share every kind of challenges which is going to come, and every kind of celebration together. So give them some worth and give them some value, so that they feel they're the part of the system.
Great.
That's how we try and.
So you are saying this generation are very aware generation, and they work for a purpose.
Absolutely.
You just can't take them for granted and leave them one side.
That's the good part of
Great.
their. Yeah.
I think that's a great
yeah.
thought. So Varun, it's time that I come to you, because you are representing an industry which I think is going to be the highest job generator right now. I think the logistics, there's so many young people in this country are getting employed there. So what are the challenges you're facing with your customers? I think there is one thing that you and I were talking about is the customers' awareness of technology, because they are not necessarily IT companies, they are companies across the spectrum, and you have to do that education all the time to them. So how are you managing it?
So just to give a background, so we started off as a logistics service provider and then have now completely evolved into a SaaS product company, and we are selling our solution to manufacturers across India. Now, when we meet the people, so our solution completely automates their day-to-day logistics activities. So when we meet these people, these people are people who are working 24/7. It's a 24/7 working industry. They lead a not so great life. There is a very poor realization of money in this industry. There is a lot of, sorry to use the word, a lot of under the table things which happens in this industry. And they don't lead a very good life. And it's a constant yelling. I mean, if you come to my office at 5 o'clock when the transport market opens, you will see it's a fish market. People are shouting on the phone and, where is the truck, where are the goods and stuff like that. So the important thing for us was to solve their pain points, right? I'll speak of a very live case where we deployed a solution in an iron and steel manufacturing company based out of Calcutta. And 2 weeks after when we went there, the logistics guy literally hugged us and said, I'm able to reach my house at 7 o'clock because thanks to this automation. And what were they doing? They were comparing simple codes given by transporters over an Excel sheet, running complex macros, and then finalizing the next day dispatch. So, I mean, the industry is very plagued with, emails and Excels. Everything is available on the system, yet we sell the solution and the customer says, I need this in Excel. Everything is there, it's logged, you can see the timestamps, you can see which user has seen what data at what time, but still they want it in Excel. They want things over an email because it probably creates an audit log or something like that. So these are some challenges that, we are facing in terms of a customer. And there is a lot, it's a very, very uncharted territory, especially with tech deployment. So just to what Subho was saying, that what startups have done in this logistics space is that that they have definitely improved the service level of the industry. Right? We have old traditional transport players, the Ram and Sham transport, the likes of the TCIs, the Gatis, who have been commanding this industry since independence, but yet they feel a sense of threat that with the startups coming in, the service levels have definitely improved. There is a wow factor. You can see the live tracking of a truck on a portal, as simple as a thing was not available, 10 years ago. So it's a very interesting space to be. It's a very big job generator, but yet this is a very, unglamorous industry. Like when I got married, had I told my father-in-law that I would be going into transport segment, he wouldn't have, married his daughter to me. Right? It's very true.
That's a very interesting statement. So I think that's the biggest challenge that one can face. So it may not be a career option for a lot of people. Is that what you're saying? So we need to bring some glamour in the whole thing. Maybe technology can bring some glamour. Maybe your trucks can start flying, and you become an aviation industry thereafter.
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. I'll come back to you again because I have some more questions on the automation part which we'll be talking about. So let me now focus on Ranodeep. Ranodeep at the very beginning told me that I would like to speak last. And I was wondering why he wanted to say that. And later on I realized, true to the startup spirit, he wants to see what others do and say, and he'll disrupt accordingly. So, that's the generation of the startup, and I had to live with that, and we have to respect that. And interestingly, Ranodeep is a computer science graduate, but he says, I want to sell mud. So let me hear your mud selling story, and what are the challenges you're facing on that?
Thank you so much, Kalyan. So, I guess I'm the youngest in the panel. And,
You don't need to guess, you are.
So the thing is, I did my engineering in computer science. And while doing engineering, I never had a clue in my first year that I'll actually do something like this. I actually wanted to work for a big corporate. But then in my second year of college, I realized there is nothing that is being done on a mass scale for handicrafts, or especially for mud. Because people are doing in weaving, people are doing for saris, people are doing for everything. The dokra is being done, metal is being done, marble is being done in Agra. But nothing was being done on mud, and especially in a state like West Bengal where we have lal mati. And that's when I realized, mitti ka kuch bechte hai na? And that's how I started selling mud kullers, painting on them, and started painting mud kullers. But over the last 4 years of running Rare Planet, I realized it is not only about me, but it's all about the market and how we have to change every day. Because initially when we started, the customer demands were different. Today, after 5 years, demands have changed. Look, I started as an online portal because in 2015, Amazon was booming in 2015 and so many sites were coming. Chumbak had been very good online.
Right.
And I was so inspired by them. I thought, boss, I'll make a website and I'll go famous. But nothing of that sort happened. And over the period of time, I realized how much of a normalization is required in this sector and how this sector can be changed. Problems like how an artisan needs to be managed in the best possible way to get the optimum of effort, like optimum performance out of that artisan, how to empower him. And even today we feel that we are not getting the fullest of an artisan. As in, we are putting in efforts for farmers. There are loans given to farmers. There are Kisan debit cards or credit cards given to farmers. What about these artisans? And that's where we came into play and we wanted to disrupt the whole system. We don't look at an artisan as an artisan, but we look at him as a person who will create a venture of his own. He is his own owner. And then he gets a loan from our company to do his work, pays us back, and the whole model is being generated in that way. And every 2-3 months when we face a different challenge in the model, even in terms of retailing, we change the model accordingly. And maybe that's why we are always saying that startups can change the model. Because we don't have such high SOPs. We also have SOPs, but we can usually change the SOPs according to the need of the market, according to the way we need to run it.
So you are able to change yourself as per your customer demand and
as a company,
re-engineer your projects?
Yeah. As a company is growing, a lot of things have changed in last couple of years.
It is evolving.
It's evolving every day. So every day I wake up and think, boss, नया क्या बेचना है? मिट्टी में नया क्या बना है? So it was always like मिट्टी को सोने पे भाव पे बेचना है. And I want, we are already selling more at a gold price, but maybe internationally we sell it at a more premium price someday.
Fantastic. I think that's great. And one comment you made, and I think that's a very relevant comment. You know, this innovative disruption that we're always talking about, which is so relevant in today's world, I think the completeness of a disruptive innovation is when it creates social impact. I think that's very, very relevant. And like he rightly mentioned, this disruption that he has created is impacting the artisan's life. And I think they're getting recognition, they're getting money, they're able to sell more. I think that's a great thing that you're doing.
The daily employability of an artisan at a rural level was very important. So you look at the basic artisan today, only in December some fair happens in Bengal. A couple of fairs happen, Chobola Mela and then this Hosto Shilpo Mela. All these fairs that happen, the artisan works for the whole year, comes here, sells it. Only 45 to 50% of his products are sold. In the last 2 days of that fair, he tries to sell the product even at a lesser price of his cost price. And that's what needs to change. And we work towards that. And I totally agree with Manjir ma'am about that charity thing. I totally don't believe in charity. Boss, he is taking the money of his labor. It is not charity. If he doesn't make it, who else will?
Absolutely.
And we'll lose the tradition, or we'll lose that product in years to come if we don't restore it. And as a startup or as an entrepreneur, we should find a way or an innovative way to how to restore it and how to take it forward in the next couple of years and keep that mark. Because I go to villages and people say, boss, मेरे next generation को मैं टोटो खरीद के देने वाला हूँ. He doesn't want to continue with that. There's a village called Noyagram where they work on Potochitro. There were initially, if you see, there were like 90 families. Now there are only 38, and the number is going down every day.
Well, the second generation is not taking up that as a
The
profession.
second generation is not taking up.
I think that's happening amongst the farmers also, because they think it's not sexy, so they leave the job, they do something else, correct?
Yeah.
And that's a huge challenge actually.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to it because, I always felt every craft, the genesis of a craft is a necessity. Someone wanted something to have his or her tea from. So the pottery came in picture. Someone wanted something, maybe they wanted a good quilt to warm him or himself up in the winter. So the quilting tradition came. But my point is, I do not want to push things to people because we need to, really care for our tradition.
Absolutely.
No. So I would rather like to put it in a way like, how can we make them relevant again? Like through design intervention, like if we could change the kind of things they're making. If a lot of people are not, for the weavers, if a lot of people are not wearing sari, how can we not make home furnishing with that? So that, and I don't believe in saying that they should do it because that's our tradition. Unless they could have a life like you, like me, why they would let their kids do the same thing?
Absolutely.
So we need to think of creating 365 days of livelihood for them.
Brilliant.
It's not only just 1 or 2 days or a few months or something. So I think that's a bigger challenge. How can we, through design intervention, how can we change the crux of the craft or handicraft so that it feels relevant?
Very good. Would you like to add something on this?
Yeah,
Excellent
exactly.
point.
So this is what we also look forward to. So when we started with कुल्लड़, so you'll find a basic कुल्लड़ in T junction, जिसमें आप चाय पीटर फेंक देते हो. The way we modified that cooler into a reusable and a microwave safe cooler with hand painting done by those Potocitro guys, and how the whole thing changed. That's exactly what Manjir ma'am is telling, like how we modify the whole product and make it relevant to the customer today. And then I face this huge problem. You don't have enough cash to burn on an online space. How do you position yourself as a different player in the market, and how you find that right market was a big
Great.
challenge.
I think very important. One statement you made, and I think everybody will get associated with that statement is, when we have tea in bhar, we don't think twice before throwing that bhar into that, dustbin after we have finished our tea. But it has happened with me and maybe with some of you, when you see that pottery is painted, colored, handicraft, now after drinking the tea, I hesitate. Do I throw it back? Because it's creating an experience for me. And it is creating respect and livelihood to that person who's taken time off and designed it so well. I think it's very important that we create that respect and give the due to that person. But that brings me to the question which you just now were mentioning, and I want to ask that question, that is technology helping you to reach out and to create more value in the whole system? And is this present VUCA world that we're talking about, where there's uncertainty prevailing across, is that impacting your business strategy?
See, technology has really helped the whole thing to scale up very fast. In order to maintain things, manage things across cities, things have been helped by technology. But so we position ourselves as a retailer. And I somehow feel retail will always be there. Retail is changing its colors. We are changing transformation in retail as well. And maybe we'll see a retail 2, it's already retail 3.0 by Biyani. We are changing a new retail world today. And it is more of an experience, how you customize the thing for your customer. Like we position ourselves in airports, and how we give the right customer the right product, because you don't have much time in an airport. And how a souvenir or that handcrafted product is relevant to a traveler, or how you make that product relevant to that customer. That every analysis can be done with technology. We have so much of data today. We know who's flying, what kind of clientele will be coming at what period of time, which flights are there at what time, and how the analysis is being done. So data and technology is creating a huge impact in terms of generating the products as well. With technology, we have new ways to produce it. Like we were discussing in the morning, the assembly line that has been created.
Right.
That is changing the way we look at handicrafts today. Even like every aspect of business, from logistics to ERP, technology has been disrupting, and technology will disrupt. It's up to us how we adapt.
And it's disrupting for good?
Yeah, it's disrupting for good. So we see.
So do you see a threat to your artisans due to automation? I mean, for example, if a robot starts making that handicraft beautifully, perfectly to the T, Is your artisan under threat of livelihood?
Not really. So there are two kinds of people who buy a very delicate souvenir. One is someone who respects the work of the artisan, and someone who just buys it to give someone or something like that. So someone who's buying it in aspect of respect to the artisan, or to actually feel the right product, the person who knows the content about the product, he'll actually touch and feel the product and understand it's digitally.
So he's buying because it's being done by a human being, and he's buying the experience.
Yes.
Which won't happen with a machine, right?
I would like to add something.
Sure.
Do you know Rolex is handcrafted?
I didn't. I really didn't.
Many would. You
So
could
that's the
just
premium.
So that is what. Like, why I said I don't like, charity, the word charity or anything. When, in the West, when they talk about hand craftsmanship, they mean precision. But here in India, when we talk about hand craftsmanship, we tend to mean that, some poor people making, we should do your due for keep our tradition alive. No. The product should speak for itself.
Excellent.
Rolex is live for so many days and it's handcrafted. We give
That's a revelation. I really didn't know.
millions
That's
and millions
great.
of dollars we pay Rolex to that.
Fantastic.
As they say,
So
right?
that is what. That is the kind of value we need to create. Which robot cannot really
Replicate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
do. So
So, Navin, Subho, with your IT background, with your technology experience, this VUCA world, how you think is going to impact the entrepreneurship in days to come?
I'll tell you one small point. You were saying in the IT world, we call it change of offerings, actually. Just one example. Atos is actually IT partner for all Olympics. Summer, winter, para, everything. For the last, I think, 3 or 4 Olympics or 5 Olympics, the next 3 Olympics. So, many years back, when there was no connectivity, no cloud, nothing, we had very set processes. You go to Lillehammer, create a data center, run the IT for the Olympics, and do everything. But then, things moved to cloud, and that creation of that data center went away.
Correct.
But new challenges came. Every event there will be hundreds of hackers trying to get into the system. Michael Phelps jumps into the water, and by the end of it, people are trying to change the 0.54 seconds to 1.54 seconds. That's the challenge from creation of a data center changed to cyber security. That became a key point.
So the problem transitioned to something else.
Correct.
Great.
Just a few days back, my son was saying in his college, suddenly somebody found a glitch that Domino's was selling for 6 rupees. And it just went around like wildfire, and Domino's was delivering pizza, was renting Ola to deliver pizza. Loads of Ola cars coming into the campus, and in that 1 hour or 45 minutes, they delivered 3,000 pizzas to that campus because somebody found a small glitch somewhere. So, the challenges the business faces with IT innovation and with what it was earlier in the brick and mortar has changed completely.
Brilliant. Okay.
So it's a different world from what it was yesterday, and it will be a different one when it goes tomorrow.
And
Actually,
keep changing. I think
keeps
change would be the
changing.
order. You want to add something, Navin?
Yeah. So, most of the retailers, they come to us, they want, because things are changing, online sales are, growing up. So, everybody wants their own store. So, what they do is they come to us, they tell us, okay, I want to start a store. The major problem what we face is this entrepreneur, what he wants is instant gratification. He wants just start my store, and what he dreams of is once my store is online, I'll start having my sales. So sales will come in, no efforts. Online means it's easy. So you set it up once, that's it. But it doesn't happen like this. If you want to go online, there are multiple things. Like you need content, you need the marketing behind that, and positioning. Many things has to be done on a constant basis. It's equivalent to opening a store, physical store. It's more than that. So what people do is they start, and after 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, they don't see sale. So they just wind up, So this is the thing.
Okay.
So it's changing.
It's also changing. So the strategies to sell is also changing. The technology supporting that strategy is also changing. It's a changing world. And you think, as an entrepreneur, all of you think that change is good, and it's going to be something that you need to embrace and help yourself grow further.
Actually,
I think that's
because change
thing.
is constant.
It's a constant thing.
Constant.
I agree.
I think one mantra which I feel is like an old is gold. Like it's like the old red wine, which is like, I think the product will never be perfect. When I talk about our solutions or in the IT world, I think sales is the most important thing. How you can sell and how you can convince the customer. The sales are going to speak for themselves. Yeah. The product will never be perfect. The customers will keep changing. They'll be more demanding. They'll ask for smaller tweaks. There'll always be going to be the case like that.
So Varun, now my question to you is, and I said I'll come back to you with this question. With the advent of 3D printing, etc., do you think it can impact the logistic business, where I can buy a product, print it at home, and I'm done with it?
I don't know, it's a far-fetched thing that we're talking about.
You don't feel threatened as of now?
As of now,
especially with India, with its complexity.
A water bottle once produced has to be moved, in a truck, and then finally needs to be delivered to the vendor.
I mean, you have enough problem to solve.
Yeah, we have enough problems to solve in especially with our infrastructure, with our logistics. Like, somebody was saying that there's a lack of, like, the next generation is not, picking up the skills of the previous generation. We are seeing we're going to see a huge scarcity of truck drivers in the coming few years. A truck driver's son is not becoming a truck driver again, So, and like I said, it's not a very glamorous job. They'll lead a very difficult life on the road. Up until last year, I think 2019 is when government mandated that a truck chassis needs to have an air conditioned installed into it.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Before that, it was not even
so
mandatory.
It makes the life of the driver a little easier than
obviously it's so hot,
in the current situation.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. I think we are coming towards the end because
I think one question I had to the panels, and
sure.
I feel it really difficult to have this selling point when I sell my products in India, is that I tell the customers that I'm going to reduce your man hours, and somehow this doesn't work in India. They said, okay, theek hai, aadmi hai, he'll be sitting idle, what work will I give him? Will I be able to fire him? I said, no, he still has to do his job, but somehow I have not been able to convince Indian customers with a reduction in man hours. I don't know about you guys.
Actually, yes, we have found the same thing. What our customers is looking for is growth. What we do is we tell them like how to grow your business. For example, we started a restaurant. When they came to us, they had just 68 restaurants. Have More is the brand from Gujarat. So recently they have sold their brand to Lotto for 1100 crores. So when they came to us, they wanted a software solution. So we started our pitching with like reducing the manpower and things like that. This doesn't work. So basically, what we give them is like you are expanding in because right now they have 350 stores. So every week, every month, they used to come up with new restaurants. So we told them, okay, we'll help you to manage these new stores. So you just buy the space, and rest SOP and everything will be done by our software. So then that so this was added. Yeah.
Now, so is this uncertainty in the VUCA world seeing any kind of an impact on your business growth? Are your customers getting a little wary about what's happening around? Are they scaling back on their growth plans? Are you seeing customers leaving or becoming more cost conscious? Any one of you?
Actually, yes.
I think because of the current slowdown which we are talking about, I mean the closures are really slow. They
no longer time to close.
Yeah, and that's very common in B2B space. Our average closing time is somewhere between 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
We give a 15-day trial, but yet the closure there's always negotiation in India. That you really can't escape.
Sure.
That's negotiation is everywhere, all over the world.
It depends. I mean, I haven't.
Well,
I
maybe
don't
the intensity of the negotiation is more.
yeah,
in
it's
India,
much more.
possibly.
I guess I don't know. I've heard of Middle East that there's people are willing to pay
Middle East,
whatever.
there's less negotiation.
Right.
Africa, there's less negotiation, and some other countries.
So great input for all the budding entrepreneurs. Focus on Middle East and Africa, where there is less negotiation.
Yeah, somewhere you have a professional negotiation, somewhere not so
Not so
professional.
professional. I think that's a sophisticated way of putting it in there. That's great. I think we have to now come to an end. The second session is about to begin. So I think it's a lot of optimism I see on the floor, and true to the spirit of entrepreneurs, VUCA doesn't matter. We are there. We'll make it happen. We'll embrace change. We will change ourselves like the ants. You see the ant when they're coming on a row, and you try and stop them. You'll see that they'll find a way to go. And that's the spirit of an entrepreneur. They will take care of the challenges, and they'll certainly excel amidst all that. Yes, we have challenges. I think human resource, getting them trained, deploying them in the right place is a challenge. I'm sure the client awareness and the client getting aligned to the understanding of the changing technology is a challenge. I think getting the right price, the right respect is a challenge. I think uncertainty is a challenge. But all challenges make an entrepreneur. And every challenge is an opportunity for an entrepreneur.
Mental health, managing the family, that's a challenge.
Oh, of course. Certainly it is.
Paying salaries on time, that's a,
Of course.
In a forum just few days back in ICC, we were discussing that we should bring a psychoanalyst to tell us what to do, to address this.
Yes, because like Charlie Chaplin, you have no one else to pass the
Yes.
cannonball. It's with you. So either it blasts with you, or you do something interesting to do that with. Right.
Yeah, but I guess with technology, everything technology is impacting. We just cannot deny the way technology is impacting our life.
Right.
Bad way, but more in good sense.
Correct.
They're making the world much more smaller. You can reach out to your customer, and loved one, dear ones, like real time.
Right.
So you could actually see talking to them every day, every moment. If you can be connected to your family every moment if you want to.
Absolutely.
So that's also something we never could think of when we were young.
Correct.
My father used to be in shipping, and he would talk to us through radio transmission only.
So technology on those days.
Yes, and we can't do without doing FaceTiming.
Absolutely.
Nowadays.
Absolutely.
So it's the better way, I guess. It's affecting our life more than.
So you welcome the change.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Any closing remark, Navin, Subho?
So, one of the biggest success factors for any entrepreneur will be accepting what is the change and what is the situation today, and adapting to that.
Brilliant.
It can be your personal habits, it can be your products, it can be the process, or it can be the markets you're addressing. So it can be everything,
So the
but most
adaptability.
important is your personal habits, which you have to address based on the changing
On the change.
situation.
I think that's a great statement for entrepreneurs. Navin, any closing remark?
Yeah, actually, entrepreneurs, what entrepreneur has to do is look for the, opportunity, take resources from lower level to a higher level. These are the challenges
Great.
faced 100 years
It was
back.
there during Mahabharata days, it will be
Mahabharata
there.
day and these days also.
Brilliant.
So
Fantastic.
every day you are a new man, you come up with a new
Wake up in the
things.
morning and
Yes,
start
yes,
running,
start,
like the
yes.
African lion.
Actually.
Any closing remark from the youngest guy on the floor podium?
The entrepreneurship is a very difficult challenge, it seems.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part.
For people, someone in middle 20s, it seems like all my friends out of engineering college or MBA colleges are working. They have a settled life. It's like I get a call from them every night, and they're chilling out, partying somewhere. And I sit at my office working, or in some lounge working on my Excel, and it's so difficult that way. But then that psychoanalyst thing, on a very serious note, I seriously meet people because that's needed. We can't hide that. And every entrepreneur, I guess, needs it at some point of time. So maybe we should not hide that. And digitally, there are so many platforms, your dose, and so many platforms have come up. Because there are a couple of days in which I go back sleeping while crying, and there are days when I'm so happy that I can't sleep. So embracing this whole thing.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting journey, yeah.
Yeah, I think an entrepreneur should surround himself or herself with the people who would just
With positivity around you.
Yeah, positivity, and friends, family who would just be supportive, and because
Very
I
important.
at least felt that way. Like it's very important that
You
to
have the
have
right
stretcher
support system.
bearers surrounding you all the time. So being it
Family is like the biggest backbone of support.
Absolutely.
I would not say only family, like
Even
to
friends.
because sometimes the things that you
Acquaintances.
cannot share with your family,
In fact, even colleagues
they
at times.
they would worry much more. The friends can do much better job there.
Yes.
So it could be like anything. Sometimes the people you work with, the team you work with, they would understand you much better than anyone else. So it's about connecting and having a very strong network of people who would really fire
Absolutely.
your dream.
Completely
Yeah.
agree. We're completely out of time, and I think it's time. I'll just end with one small statement. During my time, when I was taking fancy to the Indian cricket team, we had a player called G.R. Vishwanath, Gundappa Ranganath Vishwanath. Some of you must have seen him in action. The gentleman was very temperamental. If India is playing on the 5th day and it's a drab test, it's going to heading for a draw, he never got motivated. But if there's an exciting challenge in front of him, the ball swinging like anything, and there's Bob Willis, the gentleman passed away a few days back, he's bowling his guts out, G.R. Vishwanath will rise to the occasion. That's the time when his best came out. That's what entrepreneurs are. Their best comes out when they are under challenge, when they have to look into uncertainty and tell themselves, I will go ahead and make it happen. Thank you very much, all my panelists. I think all of you have been wonderful.
Thank you very
Shared
much.
your experiences, and I loved every bit of it. Thank you very much.